But is this how Cameroon will continue? Is this how Ivory Coast will continue? Look at the Ivorian case. Those ones, because they've been suppressed so much and because they've lied to the Ivorians because of the civil war that happened after the former elections, that you must not come out to protest. So they've suppressed people.
No, this is unfortunate.
And that's what is happening in Africa. So we've gone 10 steps forward and 15 steps backward.
Unfortunate. Dr.
Well,
Martin.
the irony of it and the painful part of it is how democracy is in retreat in Africa. From Niger to Chad to Mali to Gabon to Guinea Conakry to, Cote d'Ivoire, Uganda, and now Cameroon. The unfortunate part of it also is that the same Paul Biya is the oldest head of state in the world. He has been president in Cameroon since 1982. He is not even in the country. He is somewhere in Geneva, Intercontinental Hotel, ensconced there. He came to campaign only once.
Only once,
So
yes.
it is the ordinary people who always suffer when their leaders disappoint them. Yesterday I asked a question, what next for Cameroon?
Yes.
Most of the people in Cameroon, they don't know any other leader. Yes. It's only Biya that they have known their entire lives. Now, whether he likes it or not, when his reign of terror ends, what will happen to Cameroon? What next?
Yeah.
Finally, Chiroma Bakari, the leader of the opposition and the United Front for Change, now the Interior Minister of Cameroon is saying that he may be taken to court and that he will have to face legal consequences because it is he and his accomplices who are causing what he calls an insurrection in Cameroon. So the next thing you are likely to have is not just the suppression, because Paul Atanga Nji, that's his name, is saying that they have put down the insurrection, but that Bakari Chiroma will have to answer for this because he's the one who has incited the people. At the end of the day, it is the people who always hold the short end of the stick. We have heard from AU, from the UN, and from the EU, all calling for caution. ECOWAS is yet to speak up.
This is what I'm
and I have said that Nigeria must not congratulate Paul Biya, and that President Tinubu must not attend the inauguration.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
I hope somebody is listening.
Yes.
They should listen.
So please, Africa has to stand up against this.
If you attend Paul Biya's inauguration, we'll come and we'll condemn you here. Because enough of all of this in Africa.
Don't threaten the president
No,
of
if
Nigeria.
he does, we'll condemn him.
Don't express your opinion. Don't threaten
against
him.
the coups in
just-
the countries.
no, we'll condemn
They
him.
took a hard stance. Remember how it was controversial when they said they were going to even launch military, force. If they can speak against coups like that, democratic coups like this must also be hugely condemned by all West African countries.
Yes.
So it's not just for coups through military action. Even democratic coups like this, where lives are lost in the process, ought to be condemned. Until Africa is Africa's solution to Africa's problems. Until African leaders are ready for true democracy and stand up to speak against and even sanction countries like this, we're not going anywhere. So
imagine,
like you rightly said,
if he were to stay in power, guess how old he will be?
100.
99. By the time he's done,
100.
99. Who wants a leader that is 99?
Imagine.
Africans have to speak up. They have to speak against this. Well, here in Nigeria, reactions have trailed the United States government's decision to revoke the non-immigrant visa of Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka. The decision was contained in a letter dated October 23rd and signed by the U.S. Consulate General in Lagos. Soyinka spoke during a media party on Tuesday, where he read excerpts of the official correspondence. Let's take a listen.
When I received a letter asking me to bring back my passport because certain facts may have come up since the visa was issued. And I was given a date to report at the consulate with my passport. I declined the invitation. First of all, I didn't like the date. Everybody knows what happened on that date, November 11, many years ago. So it was rather unfortunate that they picked that date. And I said, sorry, I'm superstitious. I'm not coming on that date. And then ultimately, I made it clear I was also not going to apply for another date to bring in my passport. So he sighed and said he was very sorry, but that meant my visa would be revoked. I said, by all means, I'd be willing to receive the letter of revocation. And I assured him that both he and his staff are given permanent visa waiver anytime they want to visit the Autonomous Republic of Ijegba, situated in Abeokuta, that there will be no reciprocal conduct from my principality. So I began to cast what have I done in recent times? And I remembered that I referred to him as the white version of Idi Amin. Now, dictators are very difficult to please. I would have thought that he was pleased. I mean, Idi Amin was a man of international stature, a statesman, a first-class Democrat, He was also, he called himself the King of Scotland. He called himself a liberator. He said, in fact, he was going to liberate Scotland from the grip of the British. In other words, we should look at Idi Amin as along the line of historic liberators. He was liberating everybody everywhere. Some of them, he even liberated their lives from them, and sent them to places of no return. So when I called Donald Trump Idi Amin, I thought I was paying him a compliment. But maybe I've also written plays about Idi Amin. Maybe it's about time also write a play about Donald Trump. When he hears that I'm paying him the same literary compliment as I paid Idi Amin, maybe we'll reconsider and return my visa. Otherwise, I want to assure the consulate and the Americans here that I am very content with the revocation of my visa.
All right, there he says he is very content with the revocation of his visa. I mean, a lot of Nigerians were reacting, and I just was reading many of the comments, which I will not highlight here because, I mean, I don't think that they had the full context of the story. Professor Wole Soyinka has said that he was the one who refused to go for his visa appointment, and he is fine with not having an American visa. When he tore his green card back in 2016, when Donald Trump became president, he did it with his full chest. I mean, it's not like he's wanting to go. And the reason why he applied for a visa, like he said, for our viewers, was because he had, a tax issue. Yeah. No, a tax issue. And he didn't want to be a tax evader. So that's why he applied for a visa, to go sort out the tax issues in America. Yeah. So he's perfectly fine. And he's even invited the people that revoked his visa to come to Abeokuta. He will give them free entry. Yeah.
I thought his response was very gracious and very, of course, he's a man full of wisdom. So he knew how to diplomatically respond to this update. However, whilst we, on the lighter side of things, say that he's over 90, he loves Nigeria, he's proud of Nigeria, he loves Abeokuta, he's invited them to come, he wants to rest. In fact, some of these travels could be burdensome on him at this time. And he's often talked about how he's not crazy about traveling to the US. It doesn't hold that much of an appeal for him, but he goes there to honor invitations and, like you mentioned, some of the issues around his taxes. However, I just want to say this. Professor Wole Soyinka is an icon. He's not just an icon in Nigeria. He's become a citizen of the world. And I think it's quite unfortunate that the US has decided to take this decision. And I hope that the Nigerian government can intervene in this particular matter, because for his contribution, not just to Nigerian literature, even to the world, his books and his works are read and referred to internationally in Nigeria, in America, in the United Kingdom, all over the world. So this kind of uptake or this kind of positioning doesn't look good at all. And if, according to what he said, is as a result of what he said about the current president, I think that's most unfortunate, because we cannot have leaders who are intolerant to dissent or to expressions of how people feel, which America historically has been quite receptive to. And so I'm hoping that there can be a rethink, a reversal, because he's not just a pride to Nigeria and Africa, he's a pride to on international global scene. And I love that he has said no hard feelings. He's happy with this. He doesn't want to jack back. He doesn't need visa to move. He's happy to be in Nigeria, and other countries around the world will be more than happy to welcome him to their shores.
All right, Dr. Martin.
Just a quick footnote. It was Professor Wole Soyinka who wrote that the man dies in all who keeps silent in the face of tyranny. And he has always lived up to that creed, always speaking up against tyranny in any part of the world. And I'm excited by the fact that he says, in fact, we may benefit in the literary field from this experience. He says Idi Amin in whiteface, and that he may write a play on Donald Trump. That would be another major contribution to his oeuvre. After all, he wrote a play of giants in 1984. In a play of giants, he was talking about General Kamini, which is Idi Amin. He talked about Emperor Casco. Emperor Casco is Bokassa, Nguema Bokassa. He talked about, who else is there? General Turabum, which is...
Even Kongi's harvest, he talked about generals.
Yes, General Terabum. About giants, about these people who abuse power. And also Gunema, which was referring to Nguema. So it would be nice to see a satire on Donald Trump coming from the stable of Professor Wole Soyinka, Nobel laureate, global citizen, international icon.
I'm sure. I'm sure that it will be fixed. I mean, there was just an issue with the visa.
One woman came on this program. He said, "No man can intimidate me."
Yes.
Professor Soyinka too say, "No man or woman can intimidate me."
You will benefit from me coming to your country.
I disagree with him. He's a legend. He's a legend and he's a global citizen.
And we need to learn more from Professor Wole Soyinka. I hope he lives another decade and more. 100. He's 91 now, isn't he? Yes? All right, fantastic.
Please, a lot of people disagree with Professor Wole Soyinka because of the last election. I also disagree with him on some things. And I also disagree that things could have been done better. But this will never mitigate the fact that Professor Wole Soyinka stands on his right and should be supported on this American visa thing. This is a man that believes so much in his convictions. And that's one thing you can't fault him for. Even if you would disagree with his convictions, like I disagree with some of his convictions. Like I say, he protested a lot when Jonathan was there. He should be protesting and speaking up. Is it that the country is a good haven now?
No, he's 91.
So,
on the street.
No, but he can't protest on the street, but he can protest with his words and press conferences. But you hardly hear him say, "Oh, President Tinubu, we are not doing this right. You get." So, but apart from that, on this visa ban, on this taking away his American visa, the American government should not have taken it. I mean, this is an elder statesman that have done so much for cultural interaction. He's been a lecturer, he's lectured in universities abroad, added to the body of knowledge. And that's why we keep speaking of tyranny and the tyranny of Trump. And for all of those that support Trump because of religious beliefs and all sorts of beliefs, and because you disagree with Professor Wole Soyinka, you're not saying, don't turn to Professor Wole Soyinka. The greatest loser here are the Americans. Because they will continue to look bad that they deny someone like Professor Wole Soyinka of a visa like this. He doesn't need it. He's already made and accomplished.
As for Trump and Professor Wole Soyinka, whether Trump likes it or not, Professor Soyinka is a Nobel laureate. He has the Nobel. Something he's still looking for.
Can I just say, this is the reputation. It can be overturned, I'm sure. Things will be done. Everybody just relax.